Now, without further ado, let's welcome David Gillum, Product Manager at Colossyan, and Dominic Kaloya, Customer Success Manager at ELB Learning. Dominic, let's get this webinar started.
Thank you very much, Kristen, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for, okay, stop screen sharing. You want to, yeah, let's share my screen here. Let's include the sound because you're going to want to hear stuff. And welcome to Lights, Camera, Branching Scenarios. I have to tell you, I had a lot of fun creating this, and I anticipate that you guys will have a lot of fun watching what I created. Let's start off, jump right in, and take a look at what is a branching scenario. I'm going to swing over here and jump into this course I created.
Now that you completed the training,
are you ready to test your skills?
Great. Click the Start button to engage in the role play.
And we'll just click Start.
I've heard a lot about your product, but what's the price?
And this is interactive. We now have some choices.
I'm glad you're interested. Before I dive into the price, let me explain a bit more about the value this product brings.
I know this will be beneficial. That's why I called you. I just need to know if this is something we can afford.
And I have another choice here. I'll click this one.
How many employees do you have?
I have to get that information from someone else. Can I now get the price?
Now we have a decision to make. Do we give her the price? Let's see.
Remember, if you provide pricing too soon, you lose control of the presentation. Please try again.
So based upon the training that I've taken so far in the previous course prior to this, I did not make the right decision, and I get to try again.
I know this will be beneficial. That's why I called you. I just need to know if this is something we can afford.
Will you be using this to increase revenue or reduce costs?
Probably a little bit of both, but I really need to know what the price is.
Now, before I continue, what have you noticed so far about this role play? One of the things is there are multiple avatars in these videos. Number two is that there's a perspective going on. So right now, the client is facing me as the salesperson, and sometimes I'm the salesperson responding. So let's see what happens when we tell her that it is free.
How does free sound?
well done.
You aced it.
You kept your focus on the sales process.
You demonstrated how to overcome the price objection.
Nicely done. You deployed a powerful sales strategy. By introducing the idea that it could be free, you took the client off the offensive and put them in a listening mode. You were then able to make the case that the value offered is often greater than the cost. Remember to use this strategy when the opportunity presents itself.
Now that you completed the training,
are you ready to test your skills?
Great. Click the Start button to engage in the role play.
In this particular example, I want to point out a couple of things. There were multiple avatars in the video. We had the perspective of the person speaking was facing the screen, and the person that was listening you saw the person's back. There were multiple options to select, and in this particular example, I was gearing people towards the correct answer. You kept trying. Whenever you answered something incorrectly, you're able to try it again and try it again. This is an example of a training role play, not so much as a testing or an evaluation role play or a knowledge check. So this is one example. I scroll down here and I scored 100, and everyone's going to score 100 because I just directed people to try again and again and again until they got the correct answer. This next one is a little bit different.
I'm glad I got you in. The CEO has agreed to a meeting and is bringing in the big guns. Here's your opportunity to close the deal. The time is 2:30 tomorrow. Get this done.
I got to tell you, when I found this avatar and I heard the voice associated with it, it's like I just fell in love with this character. It's like absolutely perfect, a deep voice. But I do have the ability to change the voice. There's a library of voices, there's a library of avatars, and I can mix and match the voices to the avatars. But this pair up I thought was absolutely perfect. So how am I going to respond to this request? There's a big meeting tomorrow, and the big boss is asking me to attend and close the deal. Am I going to say I'm busy and I'll reschedule? That sounds terrible. I'm busy, but Pat can handle this. Well, that sounds like it might be a good one, because if I've been working with Pat, Pat could totally handle it. Why not?
You were just fired.
Now, I wanted the feedback to be you're fired, and I did a little searching, and I picked up and I found this video from Vin Diesel, and who doesn't love Dominic Toretto in Fast and Furious? So I thought that was kind of cool to pop that back in. But now let's get serious. I got this. I'll change my schedule and handle this.
I'd like to understand what options we have if we want to move forward.
I have a lot of security issues to discuss before I can support this proposal.
Can we go over the pricing? Our budget is very tight.
I'll need to understand how and when this will be implemented, and if we can start this year.
Now, in this example, you can see I'm going to be tracking the score. And here's the ask. Who will you respond to first? Click each executive in the best order. This is an example of using the role play and the avatars for a decision-making exercise. So if I select the Chief Operating Officer,
there are more urgent issues to respond to before operations.
Okay, so I get my feedback, and I'm using the avatars for the feedback also. I picked up 10 points. It was not the best answer.
Financing is a critical issue and should have been resolved sooner.
Okay, so I should have picked the CFO sooner. I'm learning.
Technology roadblocks can kill a deal. It's not the first priority, but close.
And I see these are not clickable anymore because I clicked on them already, but this is my last remaining one to click on.
Congratulations. You listened to everyone's issues and responded appropriately. Then you closed with the CEO. Maximum score is 200.
So I didn't do too bad. My maximum score is 200. I got 150, but look what I have here. This is the order that I selected the executives. I'm going to click try again.
I'm glad I got you in. The CEO has agreed to a meeting and is bringing in the big guns. Here's your opportunity to close the deal. The time is 2:30 tomorrow. Get this done.
And you can see down here, I've got a score of 80 right now.
I'd like to understand what options we have if we want to move forward.
I have a lot of security issues to discuss before I can support this proposal.
Can we go over the pricing? Our budget is very tight.
I'll need to understand how and when this will be implemented, and if we can start this year.
And let's see what happens if I click on the CEO first.
I'm sorry. The CEO has assembled a team to get their feedback before making a decision. Please try again.
So based upon the training that we should have had prior to taking this on decision-making, if the CEO is bringing in other people to consult with, you don't start talking to the CEO first, because the CEO is going to want to get the feedback and hear how you're going to respond to the others. So let's wrap this up.
Good first choice. If the funding is not there, answering the other issues won't matter.
I got my feedback. This was a good first choice. I got 50 points. The Chief Technology Officer.
Excellent. Technology requirements need to be addressed early in the vetting process.
And then the Chief Operating Officer.
Good choice. Operations gets involved after major hurdles have been addressed.
And finally, the CEO.
Congratulations. You listened to everyone's issues and responded appropriately. Then you closed with the CEO. Maximum score is 200.
So now, with the scoring added and the ability to retry and notifying users that the maximum is 200, we've added a gamification element, a little competitiveness. Keep trying and trying again until you get the maximum. And then I could just exit, and that's the end of this course. So now let's take a look at some generic information. Now that you've actually seen the role plays in action, actually, before we do that, let me go to my polls here. I think I've got some polls to show you. Do I have to stop sharing?
You shouldn't have to. Would you like me to launch one for you, Dominic?
Yeah, if you could launch that one.
The number one avatar technology?
No, the third one.
Third one. Can everyone see the poll?
Yes, role play feedback. Ooh, a lot of action going on. I love it, folks.
And we do have a couple of questions, Dominic, in the Q&A specifically about the avatars, so let's not forget about that.
There's a Q&A about the avatars?
Yeah. I think we should maybe address the Q&A just at the kind of Q&A section. But yeah, well, please keep the questions coming in and we'll make sure to address them.
Not a problem. All right. I think we're going to end poll. See those results?
All righty. Yeah, pretty evenly divided. Well, it's good to see that more engaging, we got a good response there. More complex, a good response there. And the advantage in being more effective with the perspective, a good response there. Excellent. So we could stop the sharing there. And let's go back to the PowerPoint. So basically, I want to show you the finished product. And now before talking in general, for general benefits and features. So basically, these avatar-based role plays, they help mimic real life. And I showed you that there were a lot of choices and decision-making abilities in there. And if whether someone fails or makes the wrong choice, and here, one of the benefits is that it's a safe environment. So if you're doing a role play with dangerous equipment or something that's mission critical and very sensitive, people can make mistakes and choose the wrong thing without there being any real world detriment. So the benefits are right here on the list. Some of the things I asked about in the poll, engagement, is top of the list right here. But you can see that these are the benefits. I think they're self-explanatory. You guys are professional in the e-learning business. We don't need to go into this. When to use it. So I showed one example with decision making. There's another one I showed was sales training. But basically, why don't you tell us, put in the chat what I just demonstrated, how would you, in your situation, how would you use these tools and deploy these to your company? That's what we'd like to share. So some use cases for customer service training, leadership development. In leadership development, there's a lot of decision making, a lot of choices to consider. Workplace safety, now you have that safe area in which to make mistakes. And here's some design tips. If you're when you start doing this on your own, clear learning objectives, that's kind of obvious. Realistic and relevant scenarios. Meaningful consequences. So I really didn't come down too heavy on the consequences, but basically when we got to the second one and there was a scoring difference, if I was the manager looking at these responses, could be a serious consequence if you didn't score high enough. Start simple and build in complexity. Yeah, I start with an idea and I start adding to it. And depending upon how much time and what resources I have, I start making things more and more complex as I go along. Design for multiple endings. Both of these, the score generated actually depended upon your activity. So in the first one, I had 3 different SCORM courses that would, and both of them, there were 3 different SCORM courses that could be delivered. And how did we do that? I'm going to call in our Colossyan expert, David, to take over the screen and actually share how did I do that stuff with the avatars.
Well, thank you very much. Hopefully everyone can see my screen and not the overlays of Zoom and so forth. We don't use a lot of Zoom at Colossyan, so I'm not super familiar with it. But can everyone see my screen right now? It should look like a Colossyan, really. Dominic, can you?
I am not able to see your screen right now, David. I'm not exactly sure what's going on.
So it says you are screen sharing, which is really interesting. I will try again. Apologies, everyone, for the technical issues.
Well, one good thing about this, David, is we know that you are not an avatar and you are live.
This is definitely live and it worked about 15, 20 minutes ago. There we go.
There we go. Sorry about that, everyone. So yes, I'm super happy to be here as well. And thank you for that awesome demo, Dominic. For everyone's information, I'm a product manager here at Colossyan. I work specifically on some of our most interesting features, including some of our newest features, which involve interactive video, which we'll talk about in a bit. Spoiler alert, Colossyan even has its own branching options now. Of course, we can't really compete with the likes of Lectora's incredible interactivity across the board and all the things you can do with Lectora, but as a lightweight solution, it's great, but we'll get to that in a bit. But for now, I just wanted to show you what Colossyan looks like. So it's a really simple tool to use. It looks a lot like a PowerPoint slide. You can see you've got your navigation down here. So I could add a new, we call them scenes, but you can think of them as slides if you like. And then this middle area is like a canvas, really. It's a canvas, so you can place your avatars like this. You can change the avatars. You can see we have many. And in fact, we were just joking about AI Dave, but we'll just drop AI Dave in here. That's weird. There he is. He took a moment to appear, but now we have AI Dave in the chat. And yeah, of course, you can change everything in this. So you can add all your shapes, your media, you can animate things to come in time. And this is pretty much how it works. It's relatively simple. You've got your transitions. So I can highly recommend if you would like to also just test out Colossyan, you're welcome to. It's a free to test tool. So if you hop onto Colossyan.com, you can try it out for free. But of course, it's also available via Lectora. So yes, exciting. I mean, I think Dominic, you can tell me more exactly about how it's available via Lectora, but for now, the interface there will look a little bit different. This is obviously our in-house editor. You can preview this. So if you were to preview this video right now, you'll get like a kind of a very simple version of what this will look like without the lip sync. And then if you want to actually get the lip sync, then you have to hit generate. So it's taken a moment. Apologies, my internet here is not awesome. Apparently there's no script on the scene. Oh, that's the problem. Anyways, the point is that's how the preview works. And if you need to, you can always generate the video to see that lip synced avatar. What I would say is that when you obviously take any kind of video that you see on a webinar with a pinch of salt, you're always going to have some kind of latency issues and things might feel a bit more kind of weird than they actually do when you see the video just natively on your own screen. So that's me. That's Colossyan in a nutshell. It's a text to video tool, really. It's exactly what it does on the box. And as Dominic's already showed you, we also support these kind of side view avatars. We're actually bringing out sitting avatars soon. So you'll be able to have avatars sitting at desks, and instant avatars. So you'll be able to just upload a picture of yourself or a video clip of yourself and turn that into an avatar instantly as well. Great. I think that's probably enough of this part of the demo for now, though, unless there are any questions that I've missed that are specifically about the editor, or anyone wants to know exactly anything a bit more about this. They can have a look. Do I have two monitors? I only have one monitor right now. Great. Well, I'll stop sharing my screen and hand it back over to yourself, Dominic, and we can continue on for now.
David, we do have a few questions specifically about the avatars. Dominic, do we have enough time to ask David a couple of questions?
Yes.
Shoot.
Okay, so we have Andrew asks, but can direction of gaze be edited? One avatar in particular did not give him much impression of making eye contact, or am I expecting too much?
I think you're not expecting too much. Unfortunately, you cannot change the direction of the gaze right now, but this actually is something that is set to change, not with an immediate effect, but probably in the next little while. We've been working on a whole lot of kind of additional controls over the avatars to allow you to, so you can already have some micro gestures in the feature. You can see that, for instance, this avatar doesn't support micro gestures because he's a bit old now, but a lot of our new ones do, and they include like just thumbs ups and so forth. But we're actually also working on like more control that around the head, so you can really take the avatar and kind of maybe adjust them a little bit. So in the future, yes. Right now, no.
Got it. Now, also wondering if you were able to edit what the avatar is doing with their hands and the emotion displayed on their face, but it sounds like you kind of answered that question already.
Yes.
Some more questions about most of it right now is about the difference between, how do you get the avatars to shift position?
It's pretty easy. Here you can see this is a canvas, so I can just grab the avatar and move them around. If I'm wanting a side view avatar, like we were just showing, I need to pick one that actually supports side view. So let me do that. You can see these ones do. So if I grab Lisa here and I say side front or side back, that's how we do it.
And it looks like a significant portion of them are more for software related, where we can answer a little bit later. The rest of the questions that have popped into the webinar chat, please pop them over to the Q&A bubble. It's a lot easier for us to keep track of them. And now, Dominic, we're handing it back to you.
Okay, wonderful. Going to share. Since there were questions about the Colossyan, I figured you might be interested in seeing what I did to create what I showed you. So here you can see, now what am I looking at here? These are all files. So here you can see the different positions. What I did is the template that I worked with was this one right here, where the woman is facing the screen, the gentleman has his back showing. And what I had to do is I had to take each character, switch their positions, switch the direction they were facing in order to create that sequence of two people having a conversation with each other. If you take a look at the background here, and I was talking to David about this, so in the upcoming future, it won't be as much work as I went through. But when I switched, this is what I started with. And you can see that the lady's background is some sort of an office with a blue wall behind her. When I switched the two positions of the two avatars, the background didn't change. And it's like, well, that doesn't make sense. How could, if I change my perspective, how can the background not change? So I chose a different generic background for when the positions change. And once I had the two perspectives, either the gentleman or the lady facing forward, then I was just able to duplicate it, change the script by typing in a little text, and they said something different. And the lips were synced pretty nicely with what they were saying. For over here, you can see here, I got everything with a green background. Why did I do green background? Nothing I showed you had a green background. Well, what I did is by generating these videos with a green background in my video editing software, I did a green screening and dropped out the background. And this is where I put the fireworks in the background. So now I have fireworks in the background and to get the desired effect that I wanted. So hopefully that answers some questions and gives you, click on here to edit. I like these little comments here, okay? So here, you could have up to 4 avatars. I was planning a 5th one. I was planning one right in the middle, showing the person's back, but it's like, oops, I reached my limit, and I figured, all right, this is fine. But you can see down below here where I duplicated the slides, and each one, now I was able to, for each slide, I selected the executive and put in the dialogue. So here, if I click on script, there's the dialogue for this particular actor, and then here's the script for this particular one, and so on and so forth. So each slide has a different avatar speaking, the video gets generated, and then of course in Lectora, I put all the overlays with the hotspots and the labels. So that's a little more of an in-depth look as
just to mention
what
as
I
well,
did.
Dominic, while you're here as well, just for everyone's benefit, you can actually also put the script for all 4 people into the same script bar and just assign the voice, each kind of paragraph, to a different speaker. Obviously, that wouldn't have worked for your workflow and what you were trying to achieve, but in case people are wondering, that's completely possible as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm not the master at using Colossyan, but I really had fun using it, and I think I turned out some pretty nice role plays. So let's take a look at this. So here's just a generic diagram of a branching scenario. You have your opening, you provide choices. Each one of these choices can provide another level of choices. And what I did is, as the decisions were being made and the decisions led to other choices and decisions, sometimes what you see here in the solid red is failure. That's it. It ended right there, and I could send people back to retry again. So if you select the correct path, you get to continue past the roadblocks and eventually hit the golden star at the end and get the congratulations, you finally succeeded. If you wanted to, you could, in one example I showed, I did not have this on the bottom. This is a failure. I kept guiding people to retry, and everyone made 100%. In the second example, it wasn't so much that people failed, but people can finish and end up with a score of 70, 80, or 100. You could build it out so that it's pass-fail. You either know your stuff and you get it right and get the golden star, or you end with a failing score, and that gets reported to the screen.
And I just wanted to say as well, Dominic, on this, for those of you who maybe never designed a branching scenario, it can be quite a complicated thing to do. And so to help you actually kind of achieve and this kind of design that we're kind of so beautifully illustrated on this slide, we have actually put together a takeaway document, which we'll drop a link to in the chat towards the end of this webinar. So if you're looking for kind of Dave's top tips for designing branching scenarios and you really want to get in depth into the kind of pedagogy behind it and making sure that you're able to deliver business value with the work that you're doing, then stick around to the end as well.
A little incentive to stay to the end. Can we see the second poll now?
Okay, but you're going to have to define second poll there, Dominic.
Give me the titles, the middle one, the middle poll.
Second, I'm getting to the titles. So interactions.
Interactions.
One is labeled interactions. One is what is, okay.
Interactions. So you saw a lot of interactions. I just want to know what the skill level is for the people that are attending live. I like the fact that we have some people that it's like, piece of cake, I know exactly what you did, Dom. I could replicate the exact same thing. That's good. You know, I like seeing that. And a lot of people, they're capable of figuring it out. I love to see that too. The good news for those that are clueless is get in touch with me. I've got my email address on the last slide. If you test out some of our products, I'll be glad, and you want to actually try out creating these things, I'll definitely be able to provide you some tips and tricks on how to get that done. So that's what we're here about. That's what we're about here at ELB Learning, is to helping you become e-learning rock stars. So that's very good. You could close that poll down. And how do we do that? Branching interactions. Let me show you before we get to that. Let me show you. This one. ELB Learning has another product called Rehearsal. And this is where people get to watch a video and then they get to respond either by recording their video or recording their audio or both. So this enables the executives to actually see the employees perform live, for them to assess communication skills and soft skills and things like that, delivering an elevator pitch. And one request that comes up a lot is, for people that have this tool, is, okay, I've got to create a video. How do I do that? Well, you could click the record button and smile in front of the camera and actually record yourself. But you know, if you don't want to have to do 2 or 3 recordings because you didn't say something right, or you want to just have a better recording, why not use an avatar? So in this program, I use one of the stock avatars.
Congratulations on completing the rehearsal demonstration. For this assignment, describe 2 ways rehearsal can help reduce your training costs and 2 ways rehearsal can help improve employee performance. Please review the instructions and grading criteria below.
Using this tool, along with the Colossyan avatars, I'm able to, in seconds, create this video and upload this assignment and send it out to employees. They, in turn, will be able to record themselves delivering whatever was asked for them to deliver. So this can be a big time saver. I've also included avatars in scenario VR, virtual reality training. So how cool is that, where you're looking left and right? And when I say looking left and right, that's if you have a headset. But if you don't have a headset, you can scroll left and right with your mouse. And as you scroll around the room, have different characters, especially if you use that green screening method, you know, the characters are going to pop up, you know, right inside the 3D space and actually be talking to you and engaging you, and you could click on things. And so basically, anything that you're already doing now with still images, you can kick it up a notch. And as our previous poll showed, the first poll showed, it makes it a lot more engaging. So I wanted to show you that example. So now, how did I do this? I used our SCORM authoring tool, Lectora. And if you are a Lectora user, or if you have any ELB authoring tool and any studio product, you have access to, and I'm pointing it to the left over here, the AI toolkit. The AI toolkit has a lot of AI tools, and this is free. We don't sell this. It's free if you have another one of our authoring products, Lectora being one of them. So as a Lectora user, you could log on to the portal and access this, and this has an avatar generator. In the second screenshot, you scroll left and right, there's a choice of 20 different avatars. You select the avatar, you put in your script, you put in your background, you generate it, you download it, and you pop it into your Lectora course, and you're ready to do exactly what I did. Does it have the two positions like David was showing, the front and the back? No, it doesn't. Okay, you would actually need the full Colossyan program to have that added functionality. The other tool that we have is called a micro builder. This is a separate tool that could be purchased independently, and it creates micro learning pages or vertical scrolling pages on a particular topic. It has an AI feature where you put in a prompt or upload your documentation, and voila. AI just generates the entire page for you with all the text. But also, or you can just type away and enter in your own text. But also, there is the AI avatars built into this page. So 2 ways. The AI toolkit will let you generate videos and drop them into any authoring tool. And then the micro builder will actually create and author a page for you. And in that page, you could have the talking avatars where you could stop and play and stuff like that. So a couple of different use cases. If you have access to the Colossyan program in full, everything David and I were showing you, you would have access to. And David, did you want to show some of the advanced stuff you're working on?
Yeah, I would love to. It will
Okay.
be pretty quick sticks.
I will stop sharing and let you take over. So I think
Thank you very much.
Interested in seeing some of the things that are upcoming.
Yeah, so hopefully you can all see my screen. I just want to get a confirm after the last
Yes.
time. You can. Great. So this is just a very simple interface. Here you can see the nav bar as we were talking about earlier. Now, if I go into interaction, I can actually add the branching in here. And as you can see, we've got now what is kind of very clearly a branching scenario. So I'll just add in some additional scenes just for this purpose quickly over here, and I will add this one. So if I'm the user and I select, I'll say, I don't know, which choice do you make? And I could go down branch 1 or branch 2. Of course, I can change those options. And as a viewer, if I may choose branch 1, then I will see this. And if I choose branch 2, I will see this. You can actually add up to 4 branches. So right now, I'll just make this one 3 and this one 4, just for illustration purposes. And I can also put these to the left and the right of the screen and add an avatar in here. So we'll put AI Dave back in here. We could have AI Dave ask, which choice do you make? And then the user will make the choice. So yeah, this is what we've been working on. This is one of the features I've been working on personally, and I'm super excited for, and why we also felt it was a perfect fit for me to be joining this webinar. I have to go. I'm sorry, team. Can I please have 5 minutes? I'm so sorry, team. I actually am at an offsite at a client's office, and they are closing the office. And
Security is booting you out, David. Security is escorting you out of the building.
Yes. But let me just quickly, just because I promised it, I wanted to, let me just stop sharing here. And this is such a weird situation, but I've never been booted out of an office before. If you hop onto this link I've just dropped in the chat, you'll find that resource I was mentioning. I hope you all find it super useful. Dominic, it's been a pleasure joining you. I'm sorry to drop off so early, everybody. I know I should be here for another 20 minutes, but I know I leave you in safe hands, Dominic, and Yaroslava can also answer the questions on my behalf.
Yeah, we got you back. Don't worry.
Thank you, everybody. And I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure, Dominic. Kristen, thank you, everybody. I will see you all soon.
Thank you, David. If there are any questions that Yaroslava or Dominic are not able to answer, as I said in the beginning of the webinar, we will make sure that these questions do get answered, whether or not they're addressed globally within our response email that has the link to the recording of the webinar, or whether or not they reach out to you personally, because we do have your email address. And now, Dominic, keep it going.
Before we continue and get to the Q&A, because we're moments away from Q&A, can we see the final poll that I created? And I don't know why I don't have access to launching it, but maybe I'm just not seeing it. But
I know, that's crazy. Most beneficial aspect. Oh, sorry. What roles does your company need, or avatar technology?
Avatar Technologies.
Here we go.
Yeah, that's it. You've seen some cool stuff, and I just want to know, what do you guys think of it? And we'll have a little interesting conversation when results finish coming in.
We have about half of the group weighing in right about now.
Okay, so what's interesting is, okay, let's start from the top. Not ready for prime time. Okay, that's interesting. So what are we waiting for? If it's not ready for prime time, so if we jump down towards the end, I look forward to more realistic avatars. That is coming. As David talked about some of the things that he's working on, that's definitely coming. The line about I've seen similar offerings, yeah, there's a lot of companies creating AI avatars. What I liked about this one is having the two positions where I could see the back of a person to actually simulate a real world conversation. I personally have not seen another AI tool, avatar tool, do that. If you have seen one, I'd love to check it out. Just drop that into the chat for me. And maybe, Kristen, you could make a note of that for me, because I'm not monitoring the chat.
Of course.
Okay. I want to use it now. Okay, so it's the results are all over the place. I look forward to more realistic avatars. Okay, that one and the deep fakes. Here's what I want to discuss. Okay. Avatars are very engaging. They're very exciting. From a e-learning point of view, my personal point of view is I want things to look as good as possible. However, I'm not going to wait. I'm going to start using them now. In my first poll, a lot of people said, yes, it makes things more engaging. Having the two-person perspective definitely was an added benefit. Having multiple avatars in there was definitely a benefit. So right off the bat, right now, even though we have not perfected the AI technology yet, right now it's definitely beneficial for us in our industry in doing training and professional development. And our main mission is not to produce movies. Well, maybe yours might be, but in the e-learning field, the main mission is to improve employee performance. And if we have a tool right now that actually helps us do that a little bit better than yesterday, not as good as tomorrow, but the technology will get better. So I just encourage you to start using it now. And as the technology gets better and better, your quality will just get better and better. And when it comes to the deep fakes, I predicted 20 years ago that the day will come when people will not be able to tell what's real and what's not real. And we are seeing technology right now making fantastic breaking strides where it's getting more and more difficult to tell what's real and what's not real. I remember watching a movie, the first time I saw the movie 300, okay, with Spartans fighting. I couldn't help myself, but I'm enjoying the movie so much, but still part of me was like staring at the screen and wondering, are they using real actors? Are these computer generated actors? It was just on the cusp and I couldn't really tell what they were using. Maybe if you guys know, you could drop that into the chat too. And because I never really took the time to research it, but That was phenomenal video on multiple levels, but on the technology level, it was. But enough of me chatting. I'm going to go on to the next screen and let's open it up to Q&A.
Okay, well, Yaroslava is doing her best to be able to address a significant portion of the Colossyan questions within.
She's got to
our
come on
quiz.
screen so people can see who's answering all the questions.
No, she's typing all of the answers, Dominic.
Okay.
So my question right now would be, what part of RLP is this functionality in?
The functionality, avatar functionality is in the micro builder, and that could be purchased separately. The micro builder is also incorporated into the Rockstar Learning Platform. So if you have the Rockstar Learning Platform or if you have the micro builder, you have access to the avatars like I showed you. If you have another tool like Scenario VR or Studio Rehearsal, if you have those those authoring tools, you have access to the AI toolkit. So everyone that has any studio product has free access to the AI toolkit, and one component, in addition to the writing tools and the image editing tools, one of them is the avatars. So I hope that answered the question. And if you don't have any of these tools, request a free trial. You'll have access to the tools and you can test it out.
Fantastic. Thanks, Dominic. Now, Mike is asking, how does it compare with Branch Track?
That is an interesting question. The first time I used Branch Track, I had fun, but I quickly, you saw what I did today. I had 4 avatars on the screen and I was able to position them. Unless Branch Track has changed, and I haven't used it in many years, I found that for me personally, it was too limiting. Because I like to have deep control. How did I get the control? In Colossyan, having the positioning and the backs of people and being able to reposition them, that was helpful. But to get the finished product, I did a decent amount of video editing. In one instance, I used green screening because I wanted to put my own personal background behind it. In Colossyan, I can import my backgrounds and put that behind the people. In Branch Track, I found it very easy to drag and connect one scene to the next scene. But here, I did my flow charting in Excel and built out all the branching. It was more work, but I don't mind doing the work because it gives me more control. So, but very similar. I haven't used Branch Track recently, so I'm assuming right now you're asking that question because instead of the still images that they had back when I used it, they probably now have avatars in there. So that's probably
Dominic,
why.
Does this mean that there are now 2 choices of branching tools in Lectora/RLP, Branch Track and Colossyan?
In Lectora, I have access to creating the avatars. And then in Lectora, I use those avatars and built out all my actions. So I put hotspots on the ones with the executives. I put hotspots on top of the avatars so you could click on whichever one you wanted to. When you clicked on the hotspots, it calculated the score. It showed the feedback. So there's a lot of custom building in Lectora, but yes, you can have access to the Branch Track, and you can also have access to the avatar builder from the AI toolkit.
So Chris is saying, I have Lectora. Can I create the same type of training? I think you just answered that with a big ol' yes.
Yeah. And if you have Lectora, okay, there's my email over there. Email me. I'll respond. There'll be a link to schedule time with me. I'll be glad to jump on half hour or so and show you what I did.
Now, Mike is saying that he's a little bit confused. Branch Track is built into ELB's Lectora authoring tool. Is ELB Learning going to do away with Branch Track?
I have not heard any plans of that.
Neither have I.
Mhm.
Branch Track has been with ELB Learning
Yeah.
and Lectora for many, many, many years. In fact,
Mhm.
over a decade, if I'm correct.
Mhm.
So we have Andrew asking, do lip movements of avatars stand up to lip reading for the text, or are subtitles the only way to improve accessibility?
Whoa, that's a
That's a big one.
deep question. I seriously doubt, and I'm not an expert in this field, but I'd be very, very much impressed if the lip syncing was so accurate that a lip reader would be able to understand it. And the reason why I'm saying that is there's probably a finite set of lip movements that are mapped to the spoken word, and don't be very interested in hearing from someone that could actually test that out. In Colossyan, there's an option to automatically add the closed captioning. So that was part of the Colossyan tool. I did not do that manually.
We do have a couple of questions about accessibility, Dominic. We have some very concerned webinar attendees, and we're wondering, where did it go? We have to create 508 compliant videos, courses, etc. Does this program have the option to do things to help us meet compliance? Wondering about things like closed captions, active play bars, progress bar, ability to adjust background sound, alt text on non-video items, etc.
Well, in Lectora, all of the items that I put in, like with the hotspots and those text boxes that came up as choices, you'll have the same accessibility options as you currently have. So the alt text will actually be in all of the text boxes that popped up. The screen reader will actually read all those options. So when the avatar finishes speaking, then the screen reader, as the text box choices scrolled onto the screen reader will read those. And any images that I use, the alt tags will be available for those items. What's actually created by Colossyan is the avatar video. That avatar video, you can include the closed captions on there, like I did. So it will have the closed captions, it will have the audio, and it's a video. You'll have the same accessibility for playing and stopping the video as you normally do.
Is the navigation accessible?
The navigation, yes, all the navigation that I showed you was built in Lectora.
Yes, and Lectora is very 508 and WCAG compliant.
Mm-hmm. And again, what I did is I took Colossyan, when you saw the different scenes that I had, Colossyan generates a video that goes from scene to scene to scene to scene. I downloaded the video, brought it into a video editor, and I cut up the scenes. Because what I wanted to do in Lectora, I wanted to bring each one of those scenes in on different pages. So on one page, I'd show the first video. I put in my own text choices, my own hotspots. So everything that I'm doing by inserting the video, inserting the text boxes, inserting the hotspots. So if all that was done in Lectora in a 508 compliant fashion. Then when they clicked on the choice, it would go to another page, and I grabbed my next video that I cut up from the Colossyan video, and I put that in. And you may be thinking, whoa, Dom, that's a lot of work. I gotta create this stuff in Colossyan. I gotta download. I gotta cut it up. Then I gotta bring it in. Then I gotta build my entire course like from scratch. Yeah, okay, but I like a lot of control, and I want to have the finished product to be as I envisioned it. And I don't like to work within the constraints of a particular product. Now, what David did not mention, I wanted to ask it, but I didn't get a chance. When he showed you the branching, my question to David was going to be, so after you build this out with the branching, then what? You know, what do you download it as? It actually publishes to a SCORM course. So then you would have a SCORM course that plays, the branching choices pop up, you click, it goes to either branch A or branch B, like he was showing, that plays, and so on and so forth. And at the end, depending upon what you clicked, it'll generate a score that publishes out to the LMS. What I did is I tracked the scoring. I had a complex scoring algorithm where you got more or less points depending upon the sequence that you clicked on. And then I converted that score, whether it was 200 points, got 100, 165 points, got an 80, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I actually built all that programming in Lectora. Again, if I did it in Lectora, it's 508 compliant.
Now, Jean is wondering, am I understanding correctly? ELB Learning has the characters, but you cannot change the position of characters, only if you have the actual Colossyan software, meaning the full version.
Correct. That is correct. You don't have the depth of control that you have with the Colossyan product. You pick your avatar, you pick your background, type in your text, generate the video, and you got your video. So if you find, and there's no multiple avatars in the same video, okay? So if you know, that's why we had to show both products.
What's the most efficient way to create branching scenarios?
The most efficient way.
That's a tough question.
Not really. It depends upon your finished goal. So it's very efficient to use a tool like Branch Track or Colossyan and stay within the bounds of what the program can do. That's very, very efficient. You do some clicking, upload some backgrounds, and you put in your text, and you quickly have a finished product. If you want something more robust, more control over it, like me, then I started with an outline of my scenario. First of all, what's my learning objective? So in that first one I showed you, my learning objective was to deal with salespeople always ask, what's the price, what's the price, what's the price? And then, you can't give a price unless someone understands the value of what they're getting. So for example, before I give you a price on Lectora, you've got to understand that it's got learning objects where I could take any snippet of what I've done or an entire course, save it and replicate it in a matter of seconds. I've got the ability in a couple of clicks to send stuff up to Google Docs and track custom learning paths and get so much data. I mean, there's so much power under the hood that until you realize that, I don't want to give you a price on Lectora. So I created this little scenario where it was like, what's the price? What's the price? What's the price? What's the price? And in the end, the lesson was, okay, just tell them it's free. Why? Not that it's free. How does free sound? Whoa. How can it be free? Now instead of asking the price, you're asking me, how can it be free? That's what the question I want you to ask. If I could sell you something that could save you money or generate you more income, so much so that it's more than the cost of the product, net, the ROI is the product is free. So anyway, that's how you do it. Start off with what's the lesson I want to teach, then go from what do I want to teach is, write the script. How am I going to introduce it? What in the real world, what kind of questions am I going to get? Okay, how did you like the demo? Great, what's the price? It's like, yeah, the question always comes up. And then how are you going to respond? It's like, how many employees do you have? How are you used? What kind of market share do you have? You keep asking questions to generate more information back from the client and driving to the point where you can show value. So once you understand what you want to teach, okay, what the learning objective is, you actually script it out. I did it in Excel, and let me show it to you. Do I have it available here? Yep. Okay, let me show you what I did in Excel. So for the second one, this is what the gentleman in the phone said. These were the options that flew in from the right. On the first two, if you clicked on them, it showed the "you're fired" little video that I got. Okay, if you click on the third one, then the page came up showing the 4 executives. Okay, then after the 4 executives spoke, then it came up which executive, choose the executives in the best order. Here's where I mapped out my scoring. Okay, if you clicked on the CEO first, second, or third, you failed. You know, you clicked on the CEO before everyone else had a chance to speak, and so on and so forth. And then here's my feedbacks. So as I built this out, I knew what I had to do in Colossyan. Okay, I needed an avatar to say these things. I need an avatar to say this in the phone. Avatars of the executives, avatars of the feedback. All right. In the first one, here's the opening right here in column A. Here's what the salesperson said. Here's what the client said. Here's what the salesperson had different choices you could click on. Each choice led to a different client response. And eventually, if you went down the right path, you got 100. Here, you got a 60. Here, you got a 75. All right. So that's briefly how I created that. Okay, we're 3 minutes over. Any other questions?
We are 3 minutes over, Dominic. We do have another question, actually, a request. Ilona would like to see a role-based video that builds an end-to-end 1 to 2 minute micro-learning versus high level. An example, a user needs to move from the old way of doing to the new way of doing, shows the old process map in an engaging way versus a screen capture, the benefits of the new ways or working in an engaging way. You know what, Ilona, I think what you should do is just email Dominic directly, and he'll be able to work with you and see whether or not we have some examples like that in his coffers. We should be able to figure out something for you. We do have...
We can meet and discuss how that would be built out.
Wonderful. We do have Noah. Thank you so much, I will say, for everybody who's still hanging on, even though we've gone over so many questions. And we have one more from Noah. Can you speak about the technicalities of how you are using generative AI? And that, my friend, is a massive question. So Dominic, can you get it down to a minute or less?
I can show you, if you email me and get together with me, I can show you a micro-learning page I built out, and I wanted to test out the AI. So I asked it to develop me a page based upon my blog. I'm not famous, so the whole world's not coming to my blog page. So I uploaded a document with my personal content my content exists nowhere else on the internet, and it did a phenomenal job. And I could show you the results of what it did. And then I asked for an analogy, a step-by-step process. So that was my test of generative AI.
Fantastic. I'd like to thank Dominic and also everyone from Colossyan, and especially Yaroslava, for answering the questions in the chat and also in the Q&A bubble, as poor David had to be escorted out of the building with security. You will be getting this recording in about 48-ish hours in your email with all of the questions answered. And thank you so much for everybody's time. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thanks for coming, and thanks for the questions, guys.